What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Variant the Podcast. We just got back from Walt Disney World not too long ago.
We did a few days ago, yep.
And it was amazing.
It was fantabulous.
We got to ride Rise of the Resistance a day before the public. 3 times. We did it 3 times.
We rode several times.
We wanted to do it a 4th, but they're
Which is a good freaking thing, by the way. Did you see what's happening with that?
Yes, by 9 a.m., the queue, it's like shut down for the day. Like
Completely
all the spots are taken.
Because they're doing it so differently. It's not like you're seeing a lot of amusement parks look for different ways to do their line queues now. Mm-hmm. And what Disney's doing with Rise of the Resistance is they're calling them boarding groups. And so you have to get in the park and they release boarding groups that like in stages, like boarding group 1 through 100, let's say. Mm-hmm. And once they're gone, they're gone.
It's kind of crazy though. Like I get it and that's smart to do it, but it's like weird, like you're paying all this money to get into the park, you know, right. Disney's not cheap. And then you want to ride this ride and then it's 9 a.m. The park, a lot of times the park opens at 9 a.m. between 8 and 9. And then you can't even ride it. Like you can't even wait in line. That's like 3 hours.
Even wait in line.
Like that's like, it's weird that they don't even let you wait in line.
It's definitely frustrating. It's got to be frustrating, but it'll calm down. It's the opening week.
Yeah.
So everybody's freaking out, but rightly so. You kind of have with this ride, you know, because we've done it.
Right.
You have to do it that way. Because otherwise, you're going to really mess up the experience of it. And that's what Disney, I think, is after with this. Because the Millennium Falcon ride, while it's fun, it hasn't been as popular. And it is it's kind of a simple simulator.
I was just going to ask, do you remember, were the lines this serious for Smuggler's Run?
On the first day.
It was? Okay.
On the first day. But then after the first initial hit, like it dropped and it's been like somewhere in the 40 to 50 minute range pretty consistently.
The ride's been open for like 5 days now, right? 4 or 5 days? Roughly?
Rise?
Yeah.
Yeah, it opened on Wednesday of last week. So it's been open, it's been open a week,
it's still
basically.
Impossible to get on it.
Yeah.
Unless you're like up at 6
I mean, I was talking to a friend yesterday who went over the weekend.
Right.
And he was telling me, he said he got there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And because he wanted to get there right when the park opened. And apparently they had been opening every day at 6 a.m. and they weren't announcing it. Since the ride opened, they had been opening, because they did the same thing when they opened up Millennium Galaxy's Edge originally.
Interesting, and not advertising it.
Yeah, and they're not advertising. So, but those who know, it opens at 6, but because he got there at 8, they were gone by 8:04. And so he couldn't get, so he was all like mad because he's like, look, I drove 2 hours just to ride it to get here. He's like, had I known, I would have been here early.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you know, it'll settle down eventually. But this ride is so good, word of mouth is getting around, and it's gonna,
the struggle is real.
Yeah, I think it's going to stay popular for quite a while.
But yeah, if you can get there to ride it, we obviously rode it 3 different times, and it's like you're walking onto a Star Destroyer.
Yeah. You're right into a Star Wars movie, really.
I think the queue is just as cool as the ride in a lot of aspects, just because you get to, you know, you're waiting there, you're standing, and you get to see all the little, like, the Resistance costumes, like the computer screens and all that stuff. And it's like you're walking on the set.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about this ride is that the queue is actually part of the story.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
It's part of the actual ride itself. So you're walking through, and it's kind of like what you're seeing with a lot of these new theme park rides, where the queue is like super immersive and has interactive stuff and all that kind of thing. But then you reach a point in the queue where the story actually begins. And you walk into a room and you've got BB-8 and then a hologram, which is insane.
That Rey hologram looks really good.
Insane.
Really good.
You see this giant machine and you kind of get the gist of what it's going to be when you're looking at it. And then you're like, but how is it? You know, when you first see it, you're like, this is going to be cheesy. And then the hologram comes up and it's Rey, and it's unbelievable. We posted pictures, both of us did, while we were there. And I had people saying they thought it was like a cartoon or a painting.
Well, because it looks so good.
Yeah, and I was like, no, that was straight out of the camera. It's pretty crazy. It just looks that cool.
Like, what are they working on that we don't know? Because, you know, technology is, you know, behind the scenes is always like 10 years ahead of what we have to the public. So I'm like, what do you got behind the curtains?
Well, you've got these companies that have been developing like the holographic technology for years. And now I guess it's getting to the point where it's good enough to where we're going to be living in freaking Star Trek and Star Wars pretty much here. Because we have this giant complex being built right near us in Frisco, Texas, called Grandscape. It's actually being built by Warren Buffett's companies.
Yeah.
And one of the things they're doing there is they're building this stage. It's like a performance stage, but the performances are going to be holograms from old, deceased performers like Roy Orbison and
Oh,
Elvis.
that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and apparently it's so good that it freaks people out when they first see it because they're like
I'm gonna
full
have to
on
go check
playing
that out.
instruments and singing and stuff.
I'm about to check that out.
So it has to be in the same type of a line, but either way, it looks amazing. And then you move from the show point like period of the ride into the first ride vehicle.
Well, one of the coolest things I think about it is like you said, the story, because this actually takes place between episode 8 and 9.
Right.
So it actually fills in that gap. So this is like the perfect time to like ride it right now because episode 9 is coming out in a few weeks.
Good luck doing that.
Yeah. Right. But no, I really love how Lucasfilm and Disney is just doing that with their comics, with their books, like everything any Star Wars ride, cartoon, show, whatever, it's all like, has synergy with one another. It's great.
Yeah, and you've got some people, of course, the Star Wars fans that don't like the current trilogy.
Right.
Going, well, that just sounds like crap. I don't want to do it now. I promise you, whether you like the first trilogy or not, this ride is so unbelievably immersive that the mix of practical effects and technology that they use for this ride and the way it just sets you right smack dab in the middle of an actual Star Wars movie, you will not be able to help but have your 12-year-old self
for sure
just burst out because some of the practical effects, we were like blown away.
The laser blasts from like the stormtroopers.
The giant cannons, the giant Star Destroyer cannons that are firing outside of the ship, the massive screens that allow you to see out
Disney's
into
doing
space.
A lot of stuff that I'm like, I don't even know how you do this. Like one example, like I was just saying, is blasters, the beams, right? When they hit walls and like the roofs and stuff like that, you see like chunks go missing. You're like, how the freak did they do? Like,
Smoke
where did it go?
Comes out and the whole thing.
It's one of those things you really got to experience for yourself.
Absolutely, and I can't recommend it enough. I know you feel the exact same way. But even beyond that, while we were there, and this goes to just the technology that Disney is working on, and you're seeing theme parks start to roll out with a lot of this really high tech, attractions. Is they gave us a sneak peek of the new Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Which is obviously a very different type of attraction. It's more family friendly and all that kind of a thing. It's very Disney. Yeah, it's Mickey. It's a family ride, but the technology they're using for it, because the idea of this ride is that you are watching a cartoon, a new Mickey Minnie cartoon called The Perfect Picnic.
Right.
And then all of a sudden something happens on screen and there's an explosion and you're now in the cartoon. But we're standing there and we're watching this cartoon, and then all of a sudden there's an explosion and the screen literally explodes out and smoke billows out. And by the time the smoke clears, there's this opening in the wall where you can walk into, and it looks like you're walking into a cartoon. It was so cool, and the technology was so different and unique that every adult, this is a room full of nothing but adults and media people, and when it happened, everybody in there went, whoa!
Well, because it was so unexpected and out of nowhere, and you're watching this cartoon, they have a really cool, like, catchy theme song.
Right.
The Imagineers that were there were saying like everyone who's working on the ride just can't help but like hum it while like they're doing construction and whatnot. But like you said, you were watching it like in this little mini movie theater, and we're watching the cartoon and stuff. And then at the end, you just see smoke. The craziest thing about it though is the screen itself actually broke.
Yeah,
like a car. You see like the little rips and tears in it, and you're like, how are you hiding
and
that?
It folds up.
It folds up. How did you fold it? Like, what did you do? What magic is this?
Weird.
And then that's the entrance to go into the ride. Then you walk in, and it's literally like you're walking into a cartoon.
Yeah.
It very much felt like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
What is the name of the ride in Disneyland? The Toon Spin or something like that. It's a Roger Rabbit ride.
Right. Yeah.
It very much had that kind of a vibe.
So I think, like you said, all the adults, everyone in there was probably like what, 25 and up.
Probably older than that.
Yeah. So it's just like it's one of those things where it's so immersive. It just hits like Disney's great at it. It hits you out. You're like you're the kid inside. You was like, oh, is this a real cartoon? And you just want to go in.
For me, I'm always looking for the technology. We've talked about it already in the past, but just the innovation and Disney under Bob Iger, they've gone really heavy back toward new innovations and trying new technologies and things that are going to wow audiences and make things even more immersive. And this new ride, along with a lot of the stuff, we got some sneak peeks of things that are going on at Epcot, you know, with the Guardians of the Galaxy. What is it? Galactic Rewind or Cosmic Rewind? Cosmic Rewind. But also some of the huge renovations they're doing to Epcot there that's going to just be very tech-driven,
doing a lot of
wildly
crazy stuff.
immersive. And it's just very cool to see. And now you've got Universal doing this Epic Universe. We're going to be getting some really cool theme park attractions. And with Marvel, the Marvel stuff coming
in Disneyland.
I
cannot wait.
It really, that was what excited me, because I saw the Mickey and Minnie thing and I was like, this is going to be a really cool ride, because you're inside Man's Chinese Theater, you know, and all that kind of thing. It's going to be really cool. But I'm like looking at the technology and I'm going, dude, what can they do with the Marvel stuff, you know, with between what we saw at Rise of the Resistance and then Mickey and Minnie's, like, and it also made me go, dude, what is the Cosmic Rewind coaster, the Guardians coaster, going to be like?
I'm so excited.
I'm telling you, there's some cool stuff coming.
Because I love Star Wars, I love cartoons and Disney, but you know, comics. So when you tell me you're going to do all this for Spider-Man and the Avengers, I'm
Doctor Strange.
That's like that you're taking it from like a 10 to 11 for me.
Yeah, for real. Very cool.
In short, though, it's amazing if you can get to Walt Disney World and ride Rise of the Resistance. You should definitely do so.
Absolutely.
And get there early.
Oh, and we can't forget, we also got to do Savi's.
Yes.
And we got to build
it's in my office.
Custom build lightsabers. Yes. We walked out of there with them, of course, because we both, I think, we both were kind of like, we weren't sure what to expect from the experience, because it's an entire experience where you go and there's a kind of a ceremony, if you want to call it, or a ritual.
I'm sure by now, because it's so many people have posted
been out for a while.
Videos,
a lot of you have probably seen the YouTube video on it. I've seen it. But it is not the same thing as getting to be there and
not.
do it. The guy who did it,
he's great. He did. I said it in our vlog. He needs a raise.
Yeah, amazing.
He sells it. He sells it really, really good.
It's the same guy every time.
Is it the same guy?
It's the same guy. He's in every video I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
He was there for us. If it's not, he's the best one.
That's funny.
But he is. He just sells it so good. You feel like
they
you're
have John
there.
Williams' score playing in the background.
Yeah,
Yoda talks right before they light you light the saber and you lift it up, and then it's like in a circle, so everyone lifts it at the same time. It's just
everything from what saber you choose, you know, whether it's power and what is it?
Power and defense,
or the elements or whatever. You're choosing your sabers to choosing your kyber crystal and why, and they explain it all, and then you build it, and then it lights, and you
pick your kyber crystal.
Yeah, by the time you're done, you're like, this thing is a part of me now.
Well, yeah, because you literally pick everything and you build it, you put it together and stuff like that, and it's like you gotta take it with you.
So
you just there's no way you could not.
And then everyone goes, yeah, no, that's $200.
Yeah.
I will say it's very expensive. It's $200.
Yes.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
But you're like, if I feel bad for anyone who, well, no, you can't go in unless you pay for it.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So the media was allowed to do it.
We were allowed to see it, so we could actually, get it on.
But you have to pay for it. So if you're a big Star Wars fan and you're kind of on the fence about it, if you really, really do love Star Wars, I will say it'll be worth the $200.
Yeah, and if you're like a collector in any way,
because they're metal, they are metal.
Yeah, they're excellent hilts. They've got weight to them, and it's got all of the sound effects and the whole thing. But if you're a collector, if you're a Star Wars fan, that's also a really great experience. I would love to see them do something with that, like they do at Universal, where you can go and just do the experience and you don't have to buy anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
Because it's such a cool experience that it would be cool for them to build that to where people can just get in line and they can experience
Imagine what that line would be if you could just,
man.
if there was just the wait.
That's why I say I understand why, because I don't even know what kind of a queue you would have.
Although the Droid Depot is kind of more like the Universal in a sense, where you can go in there and you can see everything. You see the parts going
like
around the conveyor
store.
belt. Yeah. And then you just go on your little queue and then you pick your parts and you build your droid.
Right.
So that one's kind of, I guess, closer to Universal.
But the actual...
It's cheaper too. It's $150 to build a droid.
It's a little cheaper. But yeah, I mean, these things aren't cheap. I will say that. But as far as like an actual Star Wars experience, the entire land of Galaxy's Edge, I just think is they did such a good job. the only thing that is missing from it, and we've said this before, is, and I do think that this is eventually going to get corrected, is there is a clear, void of legacy characters. So you don't see...
Because this is your second time going. This is my first time going. And like 30 minutes in, that's the first thing I said to you. I was like, it is kind of shocking that there's not like... not even a remnants of freaking like Luke, R2, Han, Leia, and it was a little disappointing in that sense. I mean, the park is still awesome, but I'm like, I want to see Vader, I want to see Luke, R2, like that's so.
I think as we see things kind of slowly correct. Because I think what we're dealing with right now, as far as like the overall Star Wars universe with Disney, is they don't want to just flatly say we went too far in a direction too fast. Right. They don't want to just say that outright. So I think what they're doing is like with the Mandalorian and then Obi-Wan Kenobi and some of the other things that they're doing. I think we're going to start to see a slow correction of that. If we've seen anything from Disney and Bob Iger specifically,
for sure,
he is all about making sure the fans get what they want, so that the company stays on the upright.
I would love to see the Mandalorian there.
I think that's what I mean. Like, I think that's going to be our because did you watch the most recent episode?
I did.
Okay, so the most recent episode was just another example of how much they are just making the Mandalorian a peace offering to the OG Star Wars fans.
Well, just because all the Easter eggs
the
and stuff.
whole episode was nods to A New Hope. The entire episode. We were on Tatooine. We were in the cantina where we first meet Han Solo. They show one of these new characters literally sitting at the booth where Han Solo shoots the bounty hunter.
Well, I mean, Dave Filoni directed it, so it's like not shocking. It's the second episode he directed.
But it was just all throughout.
Yeah.
It was all
speeder
throughout.
Bikes were cool.
Yeah, the speeder bikes, just on and on you could go. And it just for me, I literally was going into the movie. We watched the episode and then it was done. I literally was going and taking my kids to A New Hope. I was putting on A New Hope and saying, look, see, this is what this is from. And they were like, whoa. And I was like, see? And I was going to the points in A New Hope where that the Mandalorian episode was referencing. And they were just like blown away by that. But I was doing it just because I was like, this is 100% an apology letter.
A peace offering.
A peace offering to old school Star Wars fans to say, look, we hear you. We are not trying to destroy Star Wars. We see what you guys are looking for, and this is for you guys. And I think that's totally fair. That's what you would want, right? Because you're not going to undo this trilogy that they're in.
No, there's no way they're going to.
They got to finish it.
Yeah.
It's just, they set out on a course. They're going to finish it. After that is what matters. So I think as these things continue, I think we are going to see it. Because you've already got Chewbacca in the park.
Yeah, you do. I'm just very curious to see, because everything that's being course corrected right now is for Disney Plus, and we don't have another trilogy lined up for the movies.
But did you hear the rumor about Jon Favreau?
No.
There is a rumor now, and Jon Favreau is the one who's kind of fueling the flames, because he's talking about some of the things that he would like to do with Star Wars. There's rumor now that he is up to take the next trilogy.
That wouldn't be shocking at all.
Not at all.
Especially since everyone is loving The Mandalorian.
But what it would tell you is that he'll likely bring Dave Filoni with him. I have a hard time believing that will not happen. At least as producer.
There's no hint of what it would be about. Where it would
but
take place.
If The Mandalorian is any kind of a tell,
I just want the Old Republic. I want Darth Revan on the big screen very, very badly.
If The Mandalorian is any kind of a tell of what we would get from a Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, a Star Wars trilogy,
I don't think anyone would be upset about that.
The trilogy will be epic. It will be, and it's Jon Favreau, so I would give him 100% the benefit of the doubt. This is the guy who gave us Iron Man, and helped set the MCU on its course.
What a way to like jump from Marvel to then go to Star Wars.
And it makes you kind of wonder, though.
It's crazy.
Is Jon Favreau going to be the one that takes over?
Takes over what?
After Kathleen Kennedy?
Oh, like as an exec?
Because we were speculating J.J. Abrams, but now it makes you wonder, will it be Jon Favreau?
I don't know. I think he feels. I don't. I can't speak for him, but I would think that like he likes directing movies and stuff like that. He likes creating,
but for someone like Jon Favreau, that would be a move that would make sense. Because his whole trajectory as far as his career, from writer, then actor, to director,
essentially
producer,
just keep getting promoted.
Yeah, and then now he would essentially be a studio head.
Oh, no, 100%. Yeah, if he took Kathleen Kennedy's job, he would be running like Lucasfilm.
Yep. So it would be, as far as like the trajectory of his career, that would be the next obvious step where he gets to run an entire studio and frame whole universes.
Very, very curious because like he's got his Netflix show like Chef and all that stuff, and he's really into food. He's like a foodie and stuff like that. Because he just seems like a guy who he's curious. He just loves learning.
Oh yeah,
like
he says that.
Yeah, he just loves like doing new things, and when you're explaining something to him, he's definitely one of those people who is thoroughly interested in what you have to hear, especially if like you're good at your craft. So I'd be curious. I wouldn't be against it by any means. No. I love Jon Favreau and stuff like that. But I would like to see him direct a trilogy for sure before he went to the exec position.
Well, I think that would be the course.
Yeah.
I think that would happen first. And then Kathleen Kennedy would stay on for a few more years, and then he would take over, if that in fact were to happen.
Good things for Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
So
any way you slice it, the point is that things are looking in the right direction for Star Wars, for OG Star Wars fans. So for those of you that are upset with what they did with the new trilogy and some of the more recent stuff, just know that it definitely looks like they've heard you.
I think I would actually be more excited if the announcement was Filoni's getting a trilogy and Favreau's producing. That would actually get me.
Oh yeah. But I kind of am a little on the fence because Dave Filoni himself acknowledges he is very green in terms of directing live action.
With Favreau producing, he would be right there, like holding his hand.
It could work. But we'll have to see.
I know two of your favorite episodes from The Mandalorian have been the ones that Filoni's directed. The first episode and now this one, right?
Well, this one wasn't one of my favorites.
Oh, it wasn't one of your favorites?
No.
Okay.
No, I felt like this was actually probably the weakest episode.
Really?
Of all 5.
Although the previest episode was
liked it.
The weakest for me.
Which one?
The previous episode where they were fighting
on the planet.
Yes. What's the name of that?
The ATST?
ATST, yes.
The Imperial Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually really liked that episode. This one, it was not in any way bad. It was still a good episode. It was just a little slow.
Mm-hmm.
And not a ton happened. It was more of a developmental kind of building up to the next episode.
Really? I liked the little arc with
the
kid wanted to be a bounty hunter. We'll get into the guild and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was fine, but
spoiler.
It was it kind of came and went, and it's like we met him and the character is done.
Mm-hmm.
So it was fine. Like it wasn't bad. It was good. It just wasn't anything that was particularly meaningful overall.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, we get a moment where, again, I'm not going to say it because I don't know who's watched it, but we get a moment where they tease something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the whole episode very much felt like set up for and kind of a tribute to A New Hope, which I loved. But as far as an episode in itself, I guess weakest episode is probably not the right way to say it. I'd say it was the slowest episode to this day.
Well, there's 3 episodes left, so I'm very curious to see, how it's going to end.
Can you believe that?
They're going to Game of Thrones it.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a massive cliffhanger, and it's going to be like, we have to wait a year.
Well, again, it's wrapped around the release of episode 9. So let's see if we get some kind of a big bang, and maybe we'll get a big reveal and a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a big bang, lots of trailers this
weekend
past week. So crazy. Lots of movie news to talk about just in general.
A lot. I would say predominantly.
Yeah, with CCXP in Brazil this past weekend, just lots of movie news. But even before that event or that con, we got the Black Widow trailer. And this trailer looks so good. It looks like a Bourne film, like a Jason Bourne film, but like a Marvel superhero. I've told you forever, I don't know why Captain Marvel would get a movie before Black Widow.
Yep.
Like that makes no like she's been there since the beginning. Inside the MCU, she's a founding member of the Avengers.
Yeah.
So it's like it was such a disservice to be like, yeah, we already have a awesome established female character, but we're gonna go with this brand new one instead of doing the awesome one we've had in like a ton of movies. So the fact that it's done, it's filmed, we got a trailer, and it looks awesome. I'm like, yes. This movie looks so good.
And to Scarlett Johansson's credit, she had every right to complain.
Yes.
And you did not hear a word. She just was, she was a team player. She was on board. I mean, you know, obviously she's in the Avengers, so it's not like she's hurting. But, you know, she could have said, like, why did everybody get an origin movie but Black Widow? And that was a totally valid point. And to your point, like, they gave Captain Marvel her very first origin film, and you're like, but Black Widow, though?
Yeah,
what about... Because, you know, look, the bottom line is Black Widow as a character has been around longer, and she's more popular
for sure
than Captain Marvel. Like her or don't, you know, that's just the facts. And she's embedded in the MCU, so it didn't really make a ton of sense. But I think everybody's thrilled to finally be getting one, and everything they're setting up in this film looks so good. Like you said, it looks like a spy Bourne movie. The action looks great.
Some of the coolest fight scenes.
Yeah, the cinematography looks great. The music sounds great. And we're getting so many new characters
a ton
that are going to be meaningful going forward. First and foremost, Yelena Belova.
Second Black Widow.
Yep. Who clearly they're setting us up because of, as we all know, Natasha Romanoff dies.
Which is like,
Endgame.
is she going to, does the MCU still need a Black Widow? So is she going to be the new Black Widow going forward? Because she, you know, in the comics, she was trained by the same spy masters as Natasha. So that, you know, is a perfect like passing of the torch to be like, oh, Natasha's dead, but you know, S.H.I.E.L.D. or what have you still needs, or the Avengers need a Black Widow. So that would make a lot of sense. Who's playing her again? I forget who's playing her.
Her name is, oh gosh, now you just made me forget. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Okay, well,
but she's an up and coming actress. Yeah, she's been in a few things,
and she's great.
Right,
in all the stuff she's been in, she's really really good. We got Rachel Weisz in the movie. Yep. And the guy who's playing Red Guardian, Harper from Stranger Things.
Yeah, David Harbour. I love him.
Yes. He's quickly becoming a Hollywood treasure, I feel. But his little bit in there is still fits. Like, it's so funny. Because Red Guardian is basically the Russian equivalent of Captain America. Yes. So the fact, I'm going to love how they're going to play with that, and the fact where like he is a little out of shape, but he's still like a badass at the same time.
Right.
He's got the beard and stuff. So I'm very, you know... I don't know. A Russian Captain America, that's awesome.
And the way that he's playing him, like in a humorous way, where just like you said, where he comes out, he's like, steel fits.
It kind of reminds me of Armageddon, like Russian space station, kind of like that kind of thing. Like I'm like, yes, give me this. So,
but he's playing Alexei Shostakov. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Isn't that the second Red Guardian?
I believe so. Don't quote me on that. But
in comics?
I believe so.
I think so too. So like they're doing a lot of different things, and like Rachel Weisz's character is Melania. Anyway, she turns out to be Iron Maiden in comics, right? So but we don't see her in the Iron Maiden suit.
No.
But because she's a Black Widow villain.
Yes, like one of her biggest villains. So, you know, they're establishing a lot of stuff. Taskmaster is another one in here. He's
the main villain.
He's the main villain. But the thing about Taskmaster, which is so cool, is he has the ability to like mimic anyone's fighting style.
Right.
So I am, and just by looking at the trailer, all the awesome fight scenes that were again very like Bourne or Captain America, a Winter Soldier, where it's a lot of like realistic hand-to-hand combat. You know, like on the ground street stuff. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with that, because if he can mimic anyone's fighting style, you know, they could reference like, oh yeah, that time I was fighting like Captain America. I remembered how to like, fight like him, or, the sky's the limit. So I just can't wait for that. That's the coolest aspect.
I'm very curious because Taskmaster he's an insane villain, and he's a master of hand-to-hand combat. Like you said, he has a photographic physical memory, so which
makes you extremely dangerous
because he memorizes and he can calculate his opponent's next move and that sort of thing. So I'm really interested to see how far they take that in the MCU, because if they stay true to comics, it would make him one of the most formidable villains they've introduced to this point.
That's why I'm so excited to see like what they do with it. And I'm, there's like the Marvel like syndrome where that's like a lot of their villains are one and done. Right, so I'm hoping he is not a one and done character.
Because they're not only are they making Taskmaster the lead villain in this, right? and it appears okay. And we didn't mention this yet, but the movie, for those of you who don't know, is actually set directly after the events of Civil War.
Yes,
in that gap between Civil War and Infinity War, where like Cap and Black Widow and Hawkeye are on the run and they're hiding out. And so, but it goes between that and then flashbacks to Black Widow Natasha's origins, her early days in the Red Room and in Russia and all that kind of stuff. So supposedly, and it looks like in the trailer, because they show brief clips of Budapest, where we might actually learn what happened in Budapest that has been referenced over and over and over again throughout.
I feel like we have to. Like,
yeah, it's you don't say that exactly.
It's a total setup. Like if you don't, everyone's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, it's
because
like
this is the time. Meaning Hawkeye's probably got to be in it. At least for a cameo.
You would think.
So Jeremy Renner's got to show up like at some point.
If they're going to show us, they kind of have to, because he's one of the ones that has referenced it the most, is what happened in Budapest.
I mean, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. is apparently going to have a cameo.
We see a young General Ross.
Yes.
William Hurt. They did the de-aging with him.
That's like Marvel's. I feel like that's their thing. Like ever since the first Avenger, they've just been doing a lot.
Yeah.
They did it in Ant-Man. They've done it in several movies. I think they also did Infinity War, didn't they? Was it Infinity War?
I don't know if I don't
or
remember
Civil War. I don't know. A bunch of They do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah. They did it in Captain Marvel a ton,
and it looks really. Yeah, Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He doesn't age. To be fair, though, he just looks young because he looks young. The guy doesn't age. But I'm stupid excited for this movie. I was excited from the beginning because, again, I thought Black Widow should have got a movie like way before any other female character in the MCU, and I'm glad that Scarlett Johansson stuck around long enough to make that happen, because I would imagine the movie's going to be really successful. It's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Right? Just judging off the trailer. Meaning, you could go a trilogy with it. It doesn't have to be one and done, because if it's in the past, you could you could jump around a little bit. It's comic books. You could figure out ways. So I'm very curious to see exactly how long in time this was this over is the movie over the course of a week, a year, a month? Because that would also depend on if it was over the course of a week, then you could go into this next event for a second movie and a third movie. So very, very curious, especially with Red Guardian and Taskmaster and all the characters they're introducing. Yeah,
that's the big thing, is they're introducing a lot of things, but I'm very curious because with Marvel, usually you would say money would dictate, right? Mm-hmm. And in this case, that might also be true. But with Marvel and Kevin Feige, that's not always a guarantee, because they have a very specific course that they're trying to set out on.
Yeah.
Now with Black Widow, they have a little bit more liberty because her character already died in Endgame. So she already saw her completion of her full arc. So this is kind of filling in gaps. So they could do that, but the fact that they're introducing Yelena Belova and right at the time that they're also kicking off the next phase of the MCU would kind of lead me to believe that this is it. She's getting one movie and then we're moving on.
Very curious. I don't know. They're so sneaky that especially with their misdirection, it's you never. I try not to guess anymore, because it's you never know.
You do.
These guys.
You never know.
So,
but it's interesting. But staying in the female superhero, another trailer
Wonder Woman.
We got this one, Wonder Woman 84. We finally got our first trailer for Wonder Woman 1984.
And I've been very vocal over the course of the last few years that the Wonder Woman movie is still my favorite DCEU film.
Yeah,
I love that.
Say so too.
I love that movie. So
yeah, I would agree with you.
I was really excited for this trailer because I knew we were getting. They announced it a week at a time. We're we're probably the rumors come out we're probably going to get a Wonder Woman trailer because this convention's happening, and we did. So rumors turned out to be true. I personally loved it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, you and I are a little bit split.
Oh, really? Okay.
A little bit split.
So the music, I will say, because I think we agree on this, the 80s vibe, Stranger Things, I feel really brought it back big when the first season came out, to where everyone got on this 80s is cool again. It's become somewhat of a fad, and I don't mind it, but I feel like it's being a little overdone. It's
being milked big time.
So the music definitely threw me off my first watch. So I watched it 3 times in a row, and by the third time, I'm like, all right, it fits. And as for the trailer itself, Wonder Woman
she looks great.
Awesome. That part where she freaking takes the bullet out of the gun and backhands it with her bracelet.
That's pretty dope.
Oh, so cool. And the leg sweeps.
Yeah.
She's freaking web swinging from lightning bolts.
I tweeted that out over the weekend.
Style.
Yeah. I was like, dude, come on. She's swinging from lightning bolts with her lasso.
Which is comic accurate. A lot of people were mentioning that she actually does that in the comics because she's a demigod. And then in the New 52, like her father's Zeus. So it makes she could ride on a lightning bolt if she wanted to. So it makes total sense. But I love like the kind of like almost Spider-Man-esque like homage. She's like web swinging from freaking lightning bolts. But awesome. She looks badass.
How about her Kingdom Come suit at the end there?
The Kingdom Come golden armor. So
that was dope.
When I first saw it, the first watch around, I'm like, wait, because it looks very much like Hawkgirl.
Right.
So I was like, whoa, is that we're getting Hawkgirl? And I'm watching. I'm like, oh no, okay. That's a Kingdom Come outfit. Yeah. Still very similar, but I still feel like it's kind of like because we're getting hints or there's rumors that Hawkgirl and Hawkman are going to appear in Black Adam. So I'm wondering if that's kind of like I might be looking too much into this, but if it's a little like get ready,
maybe
the first step, maybe because this is comics. I mean, this is the movies, not the comics, so they can do whatever they want. What if that's like her armor? And in the films, that's like, oh yeah, we're gonna give this to her, and that's becomes Hawkgirl. You know, they can do whatever they want in the movies. They don't stay.
That
100%.
would be interesting.
So I don't know, but I really like the trailer. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Steve Trevor, how is he back? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And we get the Mandalorian himself is in it. Pedro Pascal plays Maxwell Lord.
Until you pointed out to me, I'm like, that was Pedro Pascal.
He looks so different.
Completely different.
He looks like an infomercial salesman.
Dude with like the blondish hair. It's crazy. I think he's got like prosthetic nose or something. I don't know.
He just looks like he has like false teeth.
I did not know
they made him look really, really, really different.
Crazy. Kristen Wiig, isn't it?
Oh yeah, she looks good.
She does look good.
She looks like she's going to be really good as Cheetah.
She does.
I mean, we don't see her as Cheetah.
No. I'm curious to see concept art did come out of her like or merchandise rather of her on a mug. And she wasn't full cat. It was just her like in, leopard skin costume with like a jacket. So I don't know if they're going to go the full like she turns into a humanoid cat, or they're just going to go with like, she's got claws and she's like almost like Catwoman-esque, except with superpowers. So
that would be a serious departure.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. So I don't know.
But then after seeing the Cats trailer,
oh my god,
maybe, everyone's probably like feeling relieved if they go in that direction because sweet baby Jesus. They released another trailer and they were like, they fixed it. They after the fallout of the last one, and you saw the new trailer and everybody was like, where? it's still nightmare inducing.
It is terrifying. So I'm very curious to see like if that was like. The promo art that was on or the merchandise rather, the merchandise image that was on a mug, if that's going to be like halfway through the movie or her final form. I don't know. I kind of think you could probably pull it off with all special. I mean, you could pull off the Hulk and all these crazy characters.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just all a matter of execution.
So I'm curious to see
how they design it and how they pull it off, because it could be really cheesy, or it could be,
or they can go the route where it's like Super Friends or Alex Ross, where it's just her wearing like the cat like mask over her head, and it looks like she's in a Disney costume, where it's got like the cat face on top of her and her face is poking through.
Please don't. Now it's so Paw Patrol.
But no, I'm excited for it. I think.
I see. My thing is, and this is where we split. Like I think everything with the action with Wonder Woman all looks awesome.
Yes.
I think that Gal Gadot looks great as the character. I think the suit, her suit looks great.
I like how they brightened it up. It's more red and more vibrant.
For me, it was, Steve Trevor coming back. I think that's cool. Even though we don't know how they're doing that, we're going to find out. Obviously, we're going to learn more about Maxwell Lord.
I feel like Maxwell Lord is going to be a big part of that.
He has something in his hand. Do you know what it was in the trailer? I didn't look deeper. There's a part where he's holding something in his hand in his office, and that is obviously going to have something to do with how he's accomplishing these things and giving people their desires, sort of a thing.
Right.
I just don't know what that was. But anyway, the point is, for me, it's the 80s vibe.
Okay.
It's like you said, I just feel like that whole thing is become a shtick. It's gotten overused, and I feel like that's being milked because there's everything is so much about nostalgia these days. Our generations are just all about our stuff, and so Hollywood, it's like they do with everything. Some people like something, and then they Hollywood and they get a hold of it, and it's just like, okay, we're gonna oversaturate that now. We're just gonna do it and do it and do it until people get sick of it, and they're like, okay, can we move on now? Right. And until it stops selling, basically. And I feel like we're kind of starting to move in that direction where it's just like, okay. Stranger Things brought it back in like a really cool way, and there's been some other things that have done it really well. But with this one, I kind of like the vibe was, it just, for me, it was very just like, it looked a little bit more playful than the first movie. Also, the first movie
seems to be the DCU's direction in general right now.
Yeah, I'm just worried it might be a little too far in that direction, too Shazam.
Okay.
Because Wonder Woman is not Shazam.
No.
And I wouldn't want to see Wonder Woman's style go the way of Shazam, because Shazam's character lends to that. Whereas Wonder Woman's, like in the first movie, it had some humor for sure, but it was just the right amount.
I didn't get that many vibes from the trailer that strongly. For me personally, I didn't get like that from it. Obviously, lighter in tone, but I personally don't think it'll be that. I just hope
not. It was, it was just the 80s vibe that did it for me. And like the music and the whole thing, to where it's just like, is this going to come off as like goofy?
Patty Jenkins did such a good job though with the first one.
She's so good
with the fight scenes though too. Like they need to just let her do fight scenes for like the DCU.
Yeah,
that her and I guess Snyder did obviously did the Batman fight scene. That's probably still my favorite fight scene in the DCU. That in the warehouse scene,
that is still
insane. It literally looks ripped right out of like an Arkham game. So good. But anyway,
we watched that over and over again actually.
So good. But Patty Jenkins, like in the first Wonder Woman movie, where she goes to do that raid in that town, freaking this. Like I love how she breaks the rifle on her back, stuff like that. So
even
cool.
when she storms the battlefield.
Oh yeah,
just everything that Patty Jenkins has done an awesome job. With Wonder Woman. So I definitely am going to give the benefit of the doubt. I definitely am looking forward to seeing it. It's just that the tone of it for me was like, I'm not sure.
And I'm curious what surprises we're going to get, because there has to be something. I would imagine some kind of surprise. Like, are we going to get a cameo from it? Like where she meets Bruce at the end, or Superman, or something.
Well, we're still waiting, man. We're still waiting to see what the direction is going to be for DC.
Because they confirmed an Aquaman 2 and a Shazam 2.
Right. Which was a given.
Right. But now it's officially confirmed. So it's like, okay. And those are both in the DCEU along with Wonder Woman.
Are they going to link up anymore? Are they going to connect?
But
or are these going to be entirely self-contained?
Superman and Henry Cavill has been very vocal that he still wants to play the character. But, as far as him getting another movie, that's kind of in limbo right now. Batman, Ben Affleck is out. We get Robert Pattinson as Batman now. So is that going to somehow intertwine with the DCEU? Because you have to have a Batman. He's he's 1/3 of the Trinity,
of course.
So, and then same thing with Superman. He's also in limbo. So you have to bring Superman back in, because he's like the centerpiece of the Trinity. So it's like,
and we know for a fact Ben Affleck is out.
Yeah, he's out.
Done.
So you got Henry Cavill, who's very vocal that he still wants to play the character, but the studios, I guess, are still talking behind the scenes. Gal Gadot's currently still in the mix of it. She's the only one still holding strong. And then we got Robert Pattinson being like, I'm just doing my Batman movie over here with Matt Reeves. I don't know what their plans are.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't.
Also, The Flash. We don't know what they're going to do with The Flash.
Yeah, that's another big one. Ezra Miller.
That's still way up in the air.
Last I heard, he's no longer attached. I don't know if that's changed.
It's gone back and forth
so many times, so I don't even know anymore.
Jason Momoa, he's also still holding strong as Aquaman.
Well, yeah,
still,
they confirmed
still the $1 billion boy.
Yeah, they just confirmed another movie for him.
So I just am waiting for them to give the fans like some sort of a definitive like direction of like, okay,
Comic-Con 2020 crisis.
Could you imagine?
Oh man,
could you imagine that? I mean, but we talked about this earlier too. They've also, Patty Jenkins she also dropped that Warner Brothers, and with her as producer, that they're working on and developing a spin-off of Wonder Woman.
Yes, an Amazon movie. The Amazons of Themyscira. So that to me is really, really interesting, because the Amazons in Wonder Woman were awesome. Themyscira was great,
and it looks like 84 is going to have quite a bit of them as well.
Yeah, even the little bit in Justice League, I think, was one of the highlights of Justice League. The little bit they were in it, but I'm curious to see how you would make that into a whole movie.
Yeah,
like who's it going to be centered around?
You
know what I mean?
It would clearly have to focus around the history of Themyscira and Hippolyta and some of the other, older characters.
I wonder if they went like New 52 route and they're like brought Zeus into it.
Yeah.
And stuff
Get
like
into
that.
the gods, how Wonder Woman maybe even was born.
And who would be the villain? I'm very, I mean, I'm all about it, especially I like when they take, because Guardians of the Galaxy, before they got a movie, they were like a very D-list, group of heroes. Now they're, top of the game. They're like A-list. So people know of the Amazons of Themyscira because of Wonder Woman. But I think it would be interesting to, if they could do it right, make this, something that everyone loves. Like, oh yeah, the Amazons are great.
That would actually be pretty cool if they told a story that was centered around like some of the gods and the war that
for sure
of the Amazons on Themyscira, and then at the end you see the birth of Diana.
That could be really cool.
That actually could be pretty cool.
Maybe it is like a prequel. I don't know. I'm very curious to see.
It would have to be.
Yeah,
I think.
Very curious to see where they're going to go with this, because all we got is that it's in development. That's all we know.
But again, it just raises a giant question mark: is okay. Well, where does this fit into the DCEU as a whole?
I don't know.
As far as a story.
Then you got the Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix. Apparently, we're getting a Joker too. So
still all up in the air.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
There's a lot happening over there. That's for sure.
But another childhood love of mine that's outside the superhero universe, Ghostbusters. I probably shouldn't have been allowed to watch Ghostbusters at the age of like 7 or 8, but I was, and I loved them. So in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, I had the toys and all that stuff. And we're getting basically essentially Ghostbusters 3, because the one they did before this with Kristen Wiig and whatnot, they're erasing it essentially. It's no longer canon.
Right.
So this one is going to follow the first 2 movies, and I believe it's based 30 years after.
Yeah.
So the trailer just released, and I think it looks very different, very, very different, but really, really cool. A lot more serious than I was expecting, which Josh here at the studio said it kind of reminds him of like an It tone, where it still looks like it's going to be fun and whimsical, but kind of serious.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's actually a really good way to look at it. So Paul Rudd's in it, obviously,
which is my number one reason.
Anything Paul Rudd is in, I'm definitely down for. So I'm excited about this, and the fact that there's a lot of Easter eggs in there.
Yeah.
Because apparently the grandkids are the grandkids of Egon from the original Ghostbusters, which I'm very, very excited to see how that's going to play into it. Because when in the trailer you see them look at the jumpsuit,
right,
and his name,
you see all of them.
Yeah, you see all of them, but the one that the kid's looking at is the last name of his grandfather, Egon.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's really, really cool. And then they find, the Ecto one in the barn. I'm just really excited. It looks like they're doing, because I think, I didn't hate the last Ghostbusters movie like everyone else. It got a lot of hate. I don't think it deserved as much hate as it got.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most amazing thing in the world, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was all right. But I will say, like a lot of, purists and big Ghostbuster fans out there, we wanted something that continued to the original, cap off the trilogy.
Yeah.
Because we were supposed to get a Ghostbusters 3, kind of got lost in limbo like twice. There was a script for it and everything. So we wanted that kind of, finish the trilogy. And now we're getting that. And not only that, the son of the original director is directing this. So how like full circle is that?
Yeah, it's pretty great just from top to bottom. I absolutely loved the tone. I was actually expecting more of a Ghostbusters tone. So for me, it was a pleasant surprise to see it was a more serious tone.
Right, yeah.
And it was that kind of it is a bit of a cross, especially visually, the look of it is more in line with an It type of film. But it's a cross. You could tell as far as like tonally, it feels very much in between Ghostbusters and It.
Right.
But I loved the fact that they are making this and like you already said, I think most Ghostbusters fans wanted to see from the last one, which was more of a step forward, in the future, but while still paying its tribute to the originals. And the last one kind of did in a way, but just as far as a world, a universe or whatever, it basically played it as if none of that happened.
Exactly.
And that was what I think bothered a lot of the Ghostbusters fans.
For sure.
And kind of like the Star Wars stuff. And we've talked about this already on the podcast in the past, where, fans don't have a problem when you create new characters or move a story forward past characters that they love, as long as you don't just uproot everything unnecessarily for no reason. Kind of like what we've talked about, how with Han Solo, how they just they took him through this whole arc in the first trilogy, and then when they brought him back in the new one, he was back to being just a 2-bit hustler and for no reason, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's the same thing with the Ghostbusters. And so to see them going back to where it's the grandkids of Egon and they're staying at his barn because they're poor, or they're broke and they have to stay at his old broke down barn.
Which Egon, not to interrupt, but Egon would totally have this weird like house out in the farmland with like fungus and mold in the
old
basement.
Rundown.
That is so like Spengler. It's not even funny.
But in doing so, they find the Ecto-1 and they find all of their old gear. You know, the ghost trap and the just everything is there. And she even, I think his granddaughter has the one line where she says that her grandfather says that. They're free to rumble through the ashes of his old life or something to that effect. And you're just like, yes.
I'm just so excited to see, because the trailer doesn't really tell you much besides the kids find out that their grandfather was like a Ghostbuster, and now they have his equipment and stuff. And
now ghosts are emerging on this little town in the middle of nowhere.
Right. So it's obviously very much going to be a passing of the torch story.
Yeah.
So if this does well, does that mean we're going to get another Ghostbusters with these kids?
I would be shocked if this doesn't do well.
Right.
I mean, if the trailers continue to look the way this one did, I will be very surprised that this does not begin a new generation of Ghostbusters.
And then Paul Rudd's in another franchise.
Because again, we're not just getting these kids. Paul Rudd looks awesome in the trailer because he's not doing the goofy Paul Rudd, right? He's playing it more serious. And he's a fan of the original Ghostbusters, and he shows the kids in the trailer like what happened in the 80s and things like that.
Right.
And basically
like showing the original
grandparents
footage.
were like superheroes in a way, right?
I love how when he's showing them, like he's like, look, these are the Ghostbusters, that it's actually like he's basically just showing them the movie from the first Ghostbusters. And it's like, yes, that's awesome.
It looks awesome.
It's like an Inception somehow.
Yeah, it is.
A movie within a movie.
Yeah. I think just in every way, this feels very much like a legit and an honest passing of the torch film for Ghostbusters, and I'm super excited. What's the drop date for it?
I don't know, actually.
Is it May? I know Black Widow's May.
Yes, Black Widow's May. I didn't look. 2020, but obviously
it's 2020. But I thought it gave a month too. Now I can't remember.
I don't know, but I will say I geeked out so hard with the Gunner Chair 1.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was so dope, because if memory serves me correctly, that's on the toy of the Ecto-1. So that was like a little nod. And then also just that so very iconic and distinct siren of the Ecto-1, that whatever, like so good. Like I want that in my car. Can you imagine you're sitting at a red light and someone just hits the switch and you hear that? You're like, what the?
That would be amazing.
It's such a recognizable sound that everyone would instantly be like, who are you gonna call?
Yeah. So good. And I love that they're using the original Ecto-1.
Yes, and it's like
that they're not doing like a new version of it. It's the original, and it's beat down in a barn. Oh, so good.
You think Slimer's going to be in it?
It looked like I thought I saw him, like a brief hint.
I did frame by frame. The one that they're chasing, it looks like it's not.
It's not.
No,
okay.
because I did frame by frame. It looks like some kind of marshmallow type monster, same size and stuff, but it's not Slimer.
I would love to see Slimer.
He's like the hero ghost in that franchise.
I would love to see Slimer, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll get him.
And I'm curious to see what cameos we're gonna get too. Apparently,
yes.
Dan Aykroyd.
I was waiting for a hint of one in the trailer, and smartly they did not do it.
Nope. Because I think they all confirmed, because the guy who plays Egon, I forget his real life name. He passed, unfortunately, a few years ago.
He passed away.
So clearly he will not be making a cameo. But Ernie Hudson believes confirmed to make a cameo.
Wow.
Dan Aykroyd is confirmed. And Bill Murray, he's always the wild
He's the recluse.
Card. Yeah, so we don't know yet. Some people are saying yes. Apparently, if you watch the movies that made us, Bill Murray was actually like hard to get on set.
Well, they said that they weren't up until the last minute. They weren't even sure if he was going to show up.
That's what I'm saying.
If they actually had him for the role. Because
that's what I'm saying.
For those of you who don't know, Bill Murray is just notoriously very difficult to get a hold of. He doesn't have email. He does not have a cell phone. He's very hard to contact.
That's so funny.
So he has apparently a voicemail that you call and you leave a message if you want to get a hold of him, and if he wants to answer, he answers.
It's so
funny.
Apparently
even for people that know him and are close to him, he's a very difficult person to get a hold of.
It's just funny to think like Bill Murray, obviously he's super, famous comedian, actor, been in plenty of iconic films. But I would say Ghostbusters is definitely top 3, if number 1.
Yeah, it's up there.
Most recognizable role he's ever done. So it's funny to think that the Ghostbusters, which, you say who you're going to call or whatever, just say Ghostbusters, everyone knows what it is, that role that, took him to the next level, he was like, people didn't know if he was going to show up for it. Like, it was a hard, like, he didn't even know if he was going to show up for it. And that, like, kind of like put him on the map in a sense,
That's
definitely.
His shtick.
It's so funny.
Dogs and cats playing together.
so funny.
I'm really excited about it. All of these trailers have been so good over the weekend. They've just been such like a.
And there's more.
Yeah, there is.
We've got more to talk about.
And that this whole like the past few days have just been riddled with awesome news. Like coming out of the Comic-Con was the Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh, the little clip that
leaked online that they showed at the con. It looks and it shows, for those of you who haven't seen it, it shows Godzilla and Kong battling on top of an aircraft carrier.
Yes, it does, Tim. Yes,
I mean,
it does.
Just listen to that sentence. You see Godzilla fighting King Kong on top of an aircraft carrier.
It is everything my 10-year-old self has ever wanted.
That is ridiculous. Because in the best way possible.
You see, like, because they scaled Kong up, obviously. It's the only way you could do this. When they released the Kong movie, a few years ago, we knew that they're like...
He's not done growing. And all that,
right. So now he's the same size as Godzilla now. And you see in the little like, few second, clip that leaked, hit Kong, like, with a right hook going to like punch Godzilla right in the face.
So good.
I love kaiju. Giant monsters are awesome. It's one of the reasons why I like Power Rangers and all that stuff growing up, because it all came from Japan. Right. So I'm very, very excited. And I liked the newest Godzilla movie. I know it had a lot of mixed reactions. God of Monsters or King of Monsters, loved it. I thought it was a ton of fun. Just all the fan service for the original music for Godzilla, Ghidorah, Rodan. There was so much fan service in it, and I thought the monsters looked so cool in the epic battles. The story wasn't the greatest, but when you're seeing these movies, you're going to watch giant monsters fight, and that's what we got. And if Godzilla vs. Kong is anything like that, I am so there. I am so excited.
I'm all in. Because like you just said, I'm not going there for, the Gone with the Wind.
Right.
I'm not going there for the greatest story ever told.
Best screenplay.
I'm going there to watch a bunch of giant monsters destroy a bunch of stuff and fight each other. That is awesome. And the look of it is so good.
Let them fight.
Yeah, so good. I'm all in for that for sure.
We're like in the golden age of nerdom. I say it all the time, but it's crazy. Like we got comic books, like, kaiju, giant monsters, freaking Ghostbusters is coming back. The Scooby-Doo, they're doing a Scooby-Doo cartoon.
And thankfully it's animated this time.
They're doing an animated movie the right way it should have been done. Yep. Although I loved the live action ones growing up.
Did you?
Yeah, I was young, so it's nostalgic for me.
I was a little bit older, so I was old enough to know, like, oof.
Freddie Prinze Jr. as freaking...
Yeah, I mean,
as Fred.
I guess, it's like kids movies and stuff. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's animated this time. But yeah, I agree with you totally. We're definitely, and I honestly think it's just beginning. With technology, because of the advance of technology.
If this is just the beginning, that's crazy, because we're 10 years into the MCU. We've got several DCEU movies to the point where now they're trying to course correct and figure all their stuff out. There's just there's so much
the reason
stuff.
I say we're just in the beginning is, one, because of technology is allowing us to do things we could never do before, create characters and bring things to life on screen that we could never do before, whether that's the small screen in the streaming wars or the big screen. But also because our generations own everything now.
It's true.
We're the bosses. We control the money, the wallets. We control the companies.
What's that line you say? You said if I could pay for
our
it.
Parents, when we were growing up, you said that if I could pay for it, I could have it.
That's the best line.
And it's true. And so now we can pay for it. And now we want our stuff back. We just are the most nostalgic generation in the history of humankind. We just are. And that's not going to slow down. We're just going to find different ways to manifest that as time goes on. I mean, look at this new, just because I wanted to bring this up too, like Ryan Reynolds. Okay, Ryan Reynolds is doing 2 films, so we got trailers.
He's a national treasure.
He is a national bloody treasure. He needs to be protected. We need to have some kind of a Secret Service type security force around him at all times. But ever since he did Deadpool, he's everywhere. But this past weekend, we got 2 new trailers. One is another trailer for a movie he's got coming to Netflix called Six Underground.
Okay,
which is
I have not seen the trailer.
Okay,
for this
yet. It's directed by Michael Bay. It's the most Michael Bay Michael Bay has ever been.
Wait a minute. This movie is more Michael Bay than Transformers Michael Bay?
It is far more Michael Bay.
I gotta see this trailer.
You have to see this. It's every version of Michael Bay crammed into one.
So is there... Okay, so...
It's like Transformers meets The Island.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like Michael Bay at his peak Michael Bay.
So is the whole trailer just Ryan Reynolds standing around with the camera doing circles around him and explosions going off?
Essentially. It's essentially this team of people that are just slow motion and sun flares, solar flares.
I need to watch this trailer now.
It's like, look, it is crazy. It looks so fun. It looks so good.
It's Netflix, you said?
It's a Netflix original.
Oh, then I'm gonna watch it.
It looks super good, but my point is that it is going back to like old school 90s action flick, but just a Michael Bay version of that.
Yeah, because I will say what you want about Michael Bay, because he is very Michael Bay. But the Bad Boys, I love those movies.
Bad Boys are coming back. Bad Boys for life. We're getting another Bad Boys movie.
That's true. The third one's not directed by Michael Bay, though.
But Ryan Reynolds is also, we got another trailer for another movie he's doing called The Free Man.
This trailer I watched, awesome.
It looks so friggin' funny and fun.
Well, what's crazy too is the video game world. They've been trying, video games have been trying to break into Hollywood for a while. You got Assassin's Creed, Doom. There's been several, but they just, they didn't do good at the box office for whatever reason, which is really weird because franchises like Assassin's Creed, Doom, even Mario Brothers. Remember that got a movie in the '90s back in the day, and they just never did well. So they just can't crack it. This, however, though not based on a particular like a Call of Duty or Halo. It's still a video game movie.
It's wrapped around gaming.
Yeah.
It's a gamer-driven film.
It's very reminiscent. It almost seems like they're doing their own version of a Grand Theft Auto movie, and that could be awesome. The trailer, it looks so much fun. And Ryan Reynolds is the perfect guy to play it.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of if Ryan Reynolds got a hold of the script for what's the Ready Player One.
Oh my God.
If Ryan Reynolds wrote the script for Ready Player One, that's what The Free Man is.
I could see that.
I watched it, I was like, this is basically a funny version of that.
Also, the very, very beginning of the trailer, I think probably my favorite part of the trailer, because obviously Disney owns Fox now. Fox is doing this movie. So it starts off with Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, the same studio that brought you these movies twice. I was like, you could totally tell just with that one line alone that Ryan Reynolds has, some kind of input as far as the writing and stuff like that. Because that is 100%.
He has been poking fun of Disney ever since the acquisition, and it's hilarious.
And it's just so funny that they let him.
Yeah,
it's because it's brilliant.
Because it's funny,
and it's funny. It's endearing. It's just and it makes you even like Disney more. That they're like, yeah, we can make fun of ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Totally. Yeah, they did the same thing with The Simpsons.
Yes. Oh, that was
so
hilarious.
funny. They did several of them, and it's all of them are funny.
We were in a hotel. I think we were at Star Wars Celebration. I saw it on my phone, and I gave it to you. You were dying.
It was so funny.
You were watching
so funny. It's just so clever. But the point is, even with the Ryan Reynolds movies, everything is nerd centric or retro.
For sure.
Right? So it's everything is in that vein. Whether you're talking about Wonder Woman's 1984. I mean, you could just go on and on and on. So yeah, I think this is just the beginning of us stretching our legs.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
That was a surprise for me. I heard nothing about the Free Man movie.
Neither did I.
They just dropped the trailer. And when watching, I love when that happens, because when watching it, I'm like, what am I watching? What is this? Is this based off something? What's going on here? And
I thought it was a joke trailer. for like his Jin Aviation,
right? Yeah,
or Aviation Jin. I mean,
so I just had no idea, and that's the best. Kind of like the Mandalorian for the first episode of the Mandalorian, the big reveal at the end.
Right.
Spoiler, but we're several weeks in now. Baby Yoda,
Yes.
like that was something like what?
Yeah.
Like I love because it's hard to do that nowadays with all the internet and just everything leaking and TMZ and everyone putting pictures on Instagram and social media. So when they're able to surprise you, I'm like, yes, this is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. But with that, I think we're going to wrap up today.
Yeah, we've ranted long enough.
Yeah, and
it was like a movie edition.
This was the movie edition of the podcast because it was all movies all the time this past week.
But there was lots to talk about, and as we just said, it was all nerdy nostalgia goodness.
It was a fun week, I have to say.
It was
of a lot of fun stuff.
And now we're slowly going to be rolling into Christmas, which is also going to be fun.
A lot of good stuff coming up, so we're going to have a lot more to talk about next week as well.
Yes, but with that said, we'll see you guys next time when we talk about all things comics.